The following is a presentation of the Black Hollywood Live Network, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. Hollywood Redefined. From Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is Black Hollywood Live, Breaking Into. Featuring in-depth interviews with today's most influential entertainment figures, highlighting their tips, tricks, and techniques on breaking into the entertainment industry.
You're listening to Black Hollywood Live.
And now, the host of Black Hollywood Live, Breaking Into.
Hey everyone, you're watching Breaking Into. I am your host, Derrial, Christon. Today we have a very special guest. She is the executive director and founder of the Hollywood Black Film Festival. We have Tanya Kersey with us today. How you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us.
It's great to be here.
Now, you have a very interesting career. You started off in the industry at Rutgers University as a sociology and a political science major, correct?
Believe it or not, yeah.
And then you went into acting and modeling. At what point did you know that entertainment was going to be the route that you wanted to take in your career?
You know, I always wanted to be in Hollywood, and my father gave me a choice because I wanted to go to UCLA so I could be close to Hollywood, and he told me I wasn't going. And he said, make a choice. And I decided to go to Rutgers because I was close to New York and then could go into New York and act. And so that's what I did. But I've always known that I wanted to be in show business in some form or another. And I actually studied ballet at Dance Theater of Harlem when it first opened with Carl Shook and Arthur Mitchell. So I was one of their very first students and, you know, just did everything, the beauty pageants, you know, whatever I could do to get into the business, I did it.
And then you acted on several soaps, All My Children, Guiding Light. How did that prepare you as far, like with acting, how did that prepare you for your career of what you are today as the executive director?
I think probably just the discipline, you know, and the waiting, because you learn, you know, in this business, there's a lot of waiting. Everyone thinks you're always you're always waiting for the phone to ring or you're always sitting in the green room, you know. So you just learn discipline of the industry and then just being familiar with what it's like to be on camera and, you know, behind the scenes and just picking all that up and all that energy was just really just drilled it home for me and made me want to even more be in the business. So it was kind of like nanny, you know. It was kind of that kind of thing. It really made me want to pursue a career in this business.
And then what advice would you give someone who, you know, obviously we're in Los Angeles and actors come from all over the world trying to make it big here. What advice would you give to someone who wants to start off into the industry?
As an actor?
As an actor.
Wow. I think the best thing to do is to stay where you are. You know, don't come to Hollywood yet, because if you can make it where you are, then you have a shot of making it here. You come here and there's tens of thousands of people just like you know, and what sets you apart from someone else is what you bring from wherever you come from.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you can get notices in the newspapers and, you know, get 5-star reviews from local theater companies or local TV and you build up a resume, then you have something when you get here, because everyone's coming with just their local community theater, maybe 1 or 2 things or nothing at all.
Yeah.
And they come out here. So I'd say that's the number one thing. And then the number 2 is be prepared not to make any money for about 2 years and come with enough money that you can make it. Because I'm so tired of seeing, you know, people literally starving to death and can't pursue their careers because it does cost money. It costs money for pictures and, you know, your website and just there are costs involved. Yeah. And so if you have no money, you can't pursue your career.
Yeah, that's a good advice. I mean, even now with YouTube, I feel like you were kind of saying, you don't necessarily have to be in LA. You could create your whole image on YouTube and send that off to casting directors and help you get into the business as well.
And now they cast, you know, via video and via Skype and things like that. So you don't have to be here anymore. You can stay where you are, stay with your parents, you know, your friends.
Save that money.
Right? And be comfortable instead of coming out here and just starving and being miserable.
That's true. Now, you published a book, The Black State of the Arts, A Guide to Developing a Successful Career as a Black Performing Artist. Why was it important for you to write this book and really share your knowledge with the African-American community on how to break into the business?
You know, I had this experience when I was an actress. I don't know if you know Petronia Paley, but she was actress, big in her time. She was on Another World and some other shows. And we ended up going to an audition at a big advertising agency, and there's this white executive there, and he's telling us both to speak more Black. We were there for a cherry Chiaffa wine. I'll never forget it.
Speak more black.
Speak more black. And I was just like, what? What does that mean? And I realized that there were things about being African American that were different, because I used to just take all of those how-to books and read everything, and showbiz and backstage. I was all into it. But there's nothing that spoke to me. Like when you go to shoot with a photographer, you want to make sure that he's used to shooting African Americans, because the light bounces off our skin differently. So there were things about being African American that were different and weren't in those how-to books. And so that kind of gave me the motivation to do everything that I've done. I mean, that's kind of how it started. I just saw that there was a need for someone to address our needs.
Yeah. And then you later on went on to do Black Talent News.
Yes.
And now, would you suggest someone who wanted to kind of follow in your career path, you start off as an actor and then kind of moved into more of the business and publishing side of things, that they need to know how to like fully write and publish their own work and their own type of opportunity? Would you suggest that for someone?
Well, I think nowadays you have to be able to do it all anyways. I mean, if you're going to be in the arts, you need to be able to write and to act. And, you know, once you're acting, you're getting a sense of directing, which is why so many actors want to direct.
That's true.
You know, so I think that's all kind of in the family. It's just all part of the process. So yeah, it's good to be able to do all of those things, because nowadays you need to be a multi-hyphenate just in order to survive in the business. So you need to be able to do it all. If people aren't writing roles for you, then you go and write your own and direct your own piece.
And then what's your thought on a lot of actors now who have been big television or movie stars, like a Halle Berry, or just actors who normally would be on television series who now are they're kind of swapping out, like they're becoming host, and then some who are like Halle Berry are becoming TV stars. What do you think about that transition in the industry? Do you think that this is something that'll continue, or will the bigger roles start to take place again down the line?
I don't see it. Well, I kind of think it's just part of where the industry is going. You know, the lines are being blurred now between film and TV and cable and online. It's just content nowadays. And, you know, you take television content and you put it online. You take film content and you break it up into series. Yeah. So I think it's just part of where we are as an industry, that it's no longer taboo for a film star to do television. And then people are also more about their lives. You know, those big stars are thinking about themselves, and you want to stay home with kids and be close and, you know, not be traveling around the world. So I think that people are now being more personal about their choices and not making as many sacrifices and doing things that fit into their life. So that's why you'll see a Halle Berry with 2 kids, you know, doing this, because she can stay home. And who wants to miss those important years of raising your child? Yeah.
And then in 1998, you founded the Hollywood Black Film Festival. What was your catalyst for creating that and building that opportunity for film just as a whole?
Well, I had done this conference called Infotainment. I did it at Loyola Marymount a few years, and the filmmakers themselves said, you know, this is great. It's panels and workshops and networking, but we want to show our films. So it kind of was born out of them. And then being part of running Black Talent News, I got a lot of offers to host panels and workshops at other film festivals. So I really had an understanding of how that went, and I just finally said, you know, there's no film festival here in Hollywood that's really a Hollywood film festival, a Sundance type film festival. And I really wanted to model it after that and give filmmakers an opportunity to be seen. And, you know, thankfully, and I just say this was all God ordained, I had like Danny DeVito as a sponsor the first year, and I did it at USC School of Film and Television, and Forrest Whitaker was our honorary chairperson. So the stars all aligned and made sense. And we just came out, we were just there. And, you know, People Magazine was there. It was crazy that first year because we had a new kid on the block.
Right.
And so it just all happened, and it just kind of built from there.
And then someone who maybe wants to start their own festival, what are some steps or tips that you might give them to start off a film festival?
Get a consultant. You know, get somebody to really guide you and direct you, because it's a tough business to be in, hard to make money in it. And you want to make sure that you cross all your T's and dot all your I's. And there are a lot of moving parts. You know, there's programming and marketing and sales and sponsorship and all of these different things going on. It takes a lot to really comprehend it and then to actually manage and administrate it. So I would say get somebody who's out there to actually guide you. That's what I did my first year, and paid somebody big bucks. I mean, got it back, but it gave us a foundation from which to work, because otherwise you miss so many things.
Sure.
And I know that you've seen festivals out there that just don't hit all the dots.
That's
I've
true.
been to some and I've just been mortified. I've been like, oh my gosh, how do they not have this? How do they not have that? They didn't think about all those things because they didn't have anybody to guide and direct them.
And then what have been some of your biggest obstacles and challenges with building the film festival?
Money. Very simply, money.
Like that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I mean, really, being a Black Film Festival, when you go to the industry for money, they say, well, I already gave to this and I already gave to that. It's like I already gave to the NAACP and the Urban League and everybody else. And so you're put into that category. But they don't do that with Sundance or Tribeca or Toronto. It's
true.
different. So, we have to fight hard for money and to get people to support us. And then, a lot of people say, well, why should we support a Black Film Festival? There are more important things in the Black community to support. So we run up against a lot of obstacles, but, we've been able to survive all these years. Sometimes I look back and say, how did we do it?
Yeah.
And, thank God we did it.
And then do you feel that the mindset has changed a bit because you have been so successful with your festival over the years? I mean, as you were mentioning, people are like, well, why are you creating this Black Film Festival? But do you think that now, the state that we're in Hollywood, that it has changed a little bit?
It hasn't changed with the money part. It hasn't changed with the sponsorship part. I think I don't think it's really changed. I mean, I think the industry, the African American industry, embraced us right out of the ballpark. I think, if anything, now they are even more endeared towards us because they see all that we've done, and it's become like a national institution in Hollywood to have this film festival every year. So, I mean, it's just by virtue of the time we've put into it that people now see us a little bit differently. But in terms of money, unfortunately, no.
It has not.
No.
Well, hopefully that'll change a little
I'm
bit.
hoping.
And then as a filmmaker entering into the business, what are some steps that you might recommend starting off? Do they need to create short films and submit them at festivals? Like, what would be some of the proper steps if I'm new to the industry and want to really get into filmmaking?
Well, I think for filmmakers, it's really important to have a strategy. To know what you want to do and have a plan of action that you're following. Most people throw a bunch of things up on the wall and hope something sticks. Being that I'm also a career coach and I work with filmmakers individually, I see all of those holes, and it's like you want to raise money, but you don't have a business plan. You want to sell a script, but no one's developed a script. So it's really about having the information that you need to have to make sure that you're doing the right things. Like if you want to make a feature film, don't start with $1 million budget.
Yeah.
Who's going to finance a film from an unknown with no talent in the film just because you have a quote unquote great idea? So you have to really think intelligently. It seems like you become a filmmaker and you lose your mind almost. You just think all these things are going to happen, and you really have to think about it. I think doing a short is a great idea because it shows that you can complete a film from start to finish. And then I don't think you just do the short. You go out there and you market it and you do all those things so that you can show people later on when you're out there financing your feature, not only have I produced a short, but I've gotten it into festivals, I've marketed, I have a great website up, I've tweeted, I've got all of these social marketing things going on. I may have even gotten distribution or put it into short film festivals on television, but just to be able to show that you've got some pedigree. Because you have to have something. You have to pay your dues.
You got to pay your dues.
And most people don't understand that. This is a quick society.
Yeah,
everything wants
instant.
fast.
Yeah.
And it's not like that in the film business. And that's why so many people fail, is because they don't take time to do the things that they need to do and to really build and develop their career.
And you mentioned that people think that it's just a quick turnaround in film. What's the average time period or number of years that you think someone needs to spend in the industry before they can even possibly think about getting a film created or greenlit?
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily a matter of time. I mean, you can come out here and, get as a production assistant on a big feature film and, figure it out. I mean, a lot of people come to me and say, how do I do this? And I give them the steps to actually do it. So it's how quick you are, how much you want to invest in yourself, because there are a lot of people out there that can help you. So that's the reality. People don't want to pay or invest in their careers. That's the problem.
Yeah.
They just think that it's so easy. They don't realize that when you sell a script to the studios, they may take 6 months to develop it and have 4 or 5 different writers on it, but you do a first draft and think it's going to sell.
Right.
You need to develop your script.
Yeah.
You need to have somebody do coverage and stuff. That costs money. And most people just figure, oh, my talent's going to do it. I'm just going to wing it, and it's just going to work out. And that's where they make the mistake. This is a business where you really need to invest in yourself.
Yeah.
So you need to be able to do all those things, and you can't. It's not a fly-by-night operation.
Yeah, nothing's overnight success.
No, it's not. And, if you understand that, it really takes a smart business mind. And I know, filmmakers are all about the creative and stuff, but it's really the business part of the industry that is going to determine how successful you are, not the creative, because nobody ever sees your talent unless you get in the door.
That's true.
And to get in the door, it's about marketing. And I remember when I was an actress, when I moved out here to LA, I went up for an audition for 227, and they sent me to producers, and they said, Tanya, how old are you? And I lied, of course.
That's the Hollywood way.
I know, and I told them a different age, and she said to me, you've been that age for about 5-6 years now, but you learn, what you have to do to make it.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's those kinds of things.
And then now we're at a state where we have like Shonda Rhimes, who is getting diversity awards from the Directors Guild. We have CBS that's trying to make a lot of turnaround with their diversity. Do you think that these diversity efforts are going to stay, or do you think it's just a trend right now that all these networks and studios are trying to kind of change the philosophy of how they think?
It's cyclical. I mean, we've been through the cycle before. I remember maybe 10, 12 years ago, I remember testifying at the NAACP diversity hearings, here in Hollywood. Yeah, Les Moonves got up and a couple of other studio heads. So, that was the big thing then. And that's when they signed that big agreement about diversity. And you had the African Americans and the Latinos and the Asian Americans and the Indians. You had all these different groups come together, and then it just died.
Yeah.
So I think that this is just a cycle, and it's about us holding on and really sticking through it. And then also, we've never had a leader in that, in this part, in this diversity.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to come up through the ashes and lead this diversity effort and not give up. We don't have our own Harriet Tubman or
That's
Martin
true.
Luther King that's out there as the point person. Until we have that, who's going to keep the pressure?
That's true. That's true, and hopefully, it seems like it's starting to be a little bit of movement, so hopefully it'll continue and get a little bit better as well. Social media. How has social media affected filmmaking?
In terms of?
Well, now people can put their films online and or create their own shorts with their iPhones. Since you've been in this industry for so long, how have you seen the social media kind of movement affect and change the way people think in the industry?
Well, I think in terms of media in general, like you said, people can just shoot their own films. So I think I look at the film festival and I look at the quality of films that we get, and it's gone down.
Yeah.
Because everybody thinks they're a movie maker now and they can make a film and they submit it. So we've got more submissions, but they're not up to the standard they once were. Because technology does make it so easy. In terms of social media, the middleman is gone because you can go directly to the audience now. So again, if you're smart and you have that business head, you can make a short, make a feature, and sell it by yourself. You can make that money. You could do what MC Hammer did by selling his CDs out of the trunk of his car.
Yeah,
It's
made
the
a lot of money doing
same
that.
philosophy, but you got to know how to set up your website. You have to know how to set up your shopping carts and all of those business things. So again, we go back to investing in yourself and information and knowledge and learning and all of those things.
And how does one submit for your film festival?
Go to the website and follow the directions. And really simple. That's how you submit to all the festivals.
And then with submitting to the festivals, is the process usually a long time before you find out if you're actually able to make it into the festival?
No, Probably about, depending on when you submit, there's an early submission, there's a regular submission, there's a late submission. So normally from the beginning to the end, it's about 8 weeks.
8 weeks, okay. And then with social media, as we were talking about kind of affecting the industry, how do you stay above on all the current trends and keep your knowledge fresh and just your advice fresh for all the filmmakers that you speak to and help on a day-to-day basis?
That's challenging. I have my sources. I have places that I go to for information. It's about reading the trades, reading studio briefings, reading Deadline.com and Hollywood Reporter and Variety, and just getting out there and having your ear to the ground. And Facebook is a great place. If you just go through your news feeds, you kind of know what's happening in the world.
That's very true. You do.
So, you just have to spend time, and I carve out a period of time every day just to find out what's happening. But it's a challenge. I mean, there's so much going on, and the industry is so interconnected now. You really have to know what your focus is. My focus is on filmmaker careers. Mm-hmm. So some of the newsy stuff I can kind of push to the side and focus on now, in terms of career-related information, what I need to stay on top of, because you can't do it all.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And then you created your own consulting company as well, the Kersey Group, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if one wanted to submit to you or be a part of you consulting them, how would they go through that process?
Send me an email, go up to my website, which is www.tanyakersey.com, and there's a place where you can go and, submit a request. All my information is up there, and it basically, tells you what I do. So if you're a filmmaker that really wants to get ahead of the curve, the learning curve, and really wants to take decisive action and get faster results. I mean, I think that anybody that's got any kind of chutzpah eventually will get somewhere.
Yeah.
It's whether or not you want to do it sooner or later.
Yeah.
And my thing is, people always talk about ROI. Well, I talk about COI. What's the cost of inaction?
Yeah, I like that.
What's the cost of you not doing anything
Yeah.
and sitting back, and just letting your filmmaking career evolve, as they say, or actually investing in it and having somebody direct you so that you get there faster.
Wow. What's been some of the best advice that you've received in your career as far as building this franchise that you've done?
I don't know if I've gotten any specific advice. I think the one thing that I've learned is take your time. Mm-hmm. Just because you meet with some success, don't just run with it. Stick to your plan, stick to your strategy. You know exactly what you need to do. You don't want to jump from one thing to another. So really stay solid. Things are going to happen. Great things are going to happen. And you're going to want to go in this direction or go in that direction, but really stick to the plan that you set up, because the strategy, once you've done it, will work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then tell us about your new podcast, Real Talk.
Oh, I love Real Talk. I did a podcast, well, I did an internet radio show maybe about 6-7 years ago called Inside Urban Hollywood. And this time I wanted to do something that wasn't directed towards urban audience. It was directed towards all filmmakers. Obviously, I have more African American guests than your average filmmaking show does. But I wanted to do something where we could just sit down and talk real business. No BS, no, being politically correct. And really giving filmmakers the honest truth. And so I bring on guests and we just sit down and we talk about things like building a filmmaker brand, or how to build your social media following, or how to attract investors to your film. So it's a great show. That's
important.
It's very important, and so it's a great show. I love doing it. It's a podcast, and it airs on Mondays. Every Monday it comes, and it's free to listen to, and you could subscribe to, and definitely go up to the website, give us a 5-star rating. Got to put that
5
in.
stars. That's
5
important.
stars. That's important. Yes, on iTunes. We want to get noticed, and listen in, because there are opportunities to be directed and to get advice. And this is one of those free opportunities. If you listen to this every week, you're going to get so many golden nuggets of information that could take your career to the next level. So, it's great to work on your movie, and to get into the editing suite and to plan all that. But you got to learn too.
You got to learn.
You got to learn. So carve out some time for those free things that you can get information from. There's a lot out there that's able to direct you if you just take the time and look.
And you're so giving with the information that you share to filmmakers and actors and just everything about your career. What's your biggest gratification for sharing those pieces of information?
I think when filmmakers write and call and they're so excited because they've been nominated for something or they've gotten someplace where they didn't think they'd ever be, and it was because of HBFF or it was because of some advice that I've given them. Like I have a couple of clients who just, every time I see them, I just want to clap my hands. I'm just so excited just to see what they've done with the advice. And sometimes it almost scares me. It's like, wow, they listened to everything I said and did it. And look at them now. They're in Hollywood Reporter. They just signed this big star.
That's great.
They got financing for their film. And it's like, wow. And I mean, everybody could get that if they would invest, and it's the ones that do the hard work that actually get there.
And where would you like to see the festival kind of go next that you haven't done before?
I hope to take my seat soon and turn it over to my daughters, who are now my operations directors and moving on up the ladder. My thing is taking it internationally, and we've already did that once. We've been to Nigeria, which is the second largest filmmaking industry in the world. Yeah. We've been to Nollywood, and we've done the Nollywood edition of the Hollywood Black Film Festival. So I hope to do that other places. I do travel a lot. Like I'm going to South Africa in a couple of weeks for a big film festival. So I want to do more of that with the Hollywood Black Film Festival brand behind me, and then leave the girls here to run the festival annually. So it's really getting out there, because that's even bigger. I mean, that's even more heartwarming when you can go to a country where people make $2 a week, and give filmmakers the opportunity to tell their stories, and their stories are amazing. I mean, they have love stories, they have corruption, they have politics, they have war, they have all of that, but on the foundation that it is, and wherever it is in Africa or Southeast Asia, it's just amazing to see how the same themes translate in different countries. Yeah. So I get a lot of gratification from working with filmmakers from around the world.
Wow, I mean, such an exciting life you live. You really have changed the game for so many filmmakers and people in the industry. So I applaud you for that.
Thank you.
How you affect people's lives so much, because as you know, so many people come here with the dream and are discouraged, and you are the opposite of that. You encourage. So that's a beautiful thing. You are also adding 2 forthcoming books to your repertoire of everything else that you do. The Movie Making Manual, How to Convert Your Filmmaking Passion into Profits, and The Strategic Filmmaker, How to Sustain a Lucrative and Long-Term Filmmaking Career.
Yes.
What can fans expect outside of just the titles in these books?
Well, Strategic Filmmaker is a new brand that I'm coming up with, because that's what it's about, strategic filmmaking. It's not creative and artsy filmmaker, it's strategic in everything that you do. The way that you release your film is strategic. Where you release it first is strategic. So I really wanted to coin that phrase and to start teaching in that direction, because I figured by using that name, filmmakers will start to think strategically in everything that they do. So that's going to be a book about, things about branding yourself, about building a business behind yourself, about getting your systems and processes in order, and start to think really long-term about your career. So that's kind of the way that I'm heading now in terms of giving filmmakers information, because you can make a lot of money and then lose a lot of money.
That's true.
Or you think, okay, I made some money from this film, everything's okay, and you're broke tomorrow. So, you really have to start thinking intelligently about where you're going to go next.
I agree. And if you could use one word to define your career to date, what would it be?
Oh, wow. You're putting me on the spot now. Oh, my goodness.
We like that real response right there.
Whoa. I just went blank when you said that. I would just say God-driven.
Love that. God-driven. All right. Well, thank you for joining us today. For all the listeners and viewers, where can they find you on social media and find out more about the film festivals and other projects that you're working on with all your books and everything else? Where can they find you?
Just go to www.tanyakersey.com, and links to everything else, the podcast and the film festival, are all there on the page.
Well, be sure to check out all of her outlets and also her podcast, Real Talk. I'm going to go listen to it when I leave here. I'm excited to see what I can learn as well. Thank you for tuning in to Breaking Into, and I'm Derrial, Christon, your host, and we will catch you on the next one.
From producers Maria Menounos, Derrial Christon, Tiana Hobson, Kevin Undergaro, and the entire BHL crew, we would like to thank you for supporting Black Hollywood Live, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. For questions and comments, contact us at info@blackhollywoodlive.com. Like us on Facebook, tweet us, or Instagram us at BHL Online. And I'm your BHL announcer, Scipio. Instagram me at Planet Scipio. Thank you for tuning in.
Hollywood Redefined.
The views expressed here are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.
Thanks for watching Black Hollywood Live on YouTube. For more in-depth interviews and news, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion in the comment section below here. See you soon, everyone. Bye.